We're off and going. Okay, good. That's a good start. All right. So first of all, our first property we talked about, last Monday was that, remember, this works for every problem. Every triangle, no matter what type of triangle, they have to add it to be 180. So if your triangle doesn't add it to be 180 with the angles on the inside, you either did something wrong or there might be a misprint. So just kind of make sure you double check it and see, maybe you did it wrong. Maybe you like transferred an angle into a picture and you're like, well, I don't know if I could have technically done that. It'll probably show up when you start adding them up and it's not adding up to be 180. You probably did something wrong. So we're going to use that. That'll be kind of in the middle of my problems. But remember, this is always a fallback. Triangles have to add up to be 180. You can always find that one missing angle by doing that. We talked about that yesterday. We'll use that here in a minute. 4-2 is the new ones we did Wednesday and Thursday. We even talked about this one yesterday. The exterior angle is equal to the two remote angles added together. So on this picture, the exterior one's on the outside, and the two remote, or the two on the inside that are not touching it. Those are remote interior. Those two added together make the exterior angle. So just make sure of that. Okay, so let me do an example of this, something that you might be asked to do today for your homework. So I'm going to just make kind of a random triangle here. Let's kind of make it bigger. Okay, I'll extend one of the walls. It doesn't matter which wall I extend. I can pick any one I want. I'm going to pick this one over here. I'll extend it out straight. And then I'm going to put some angles inside this picture. So let's say the angle on the outside is an 8x plus 2. Let's say the angles on the inside over here, let's say this is a 4x plus 10. And let's say this is a 2x plus 50. Let's say that's what my problem is. Okay, and this is all the information they give us. Let's put some variables in the corners here. So for the vertices, let's call this one M, N. Ooh. Let me write the N. There we go. N, and let's put this one as O. And the question is, like, what they want you to find here is obviously find X, but then off to the side they might say find the measure of angle M and O. So in the very end, so we're going to find X. We have to do that first. And then in the very end, we have to go find angle M and O. N is the middle letter, N. So it's this angle right here. This is the question of questions. Can we find that angle right there? That's M to N to O. That's the angle. That's it. So when we find X, we have to go plug it back in. That's all you have to do. Okay, questions on the setup on this problem, what we're going to be asked to do. I think you have 2 of these today, I'm pretty sure, in the textbook. Or in the Google form, I should say. Okay, let's jump right in. I'm going to get rid of that little bubble here. All right, let's talk about how to do this. So the angle on the outside, that's angle O. That's the 8x plus 2. This angle here is equal to these two angles added together. Those are the remote interior, the two angles on the inside of the triangle that do not touch the exterior. So you add those two together and you set it equal to the exterior angle. So here's my exterior. I set that equal to the two on the inside added together. Just drew a line there. And what is this, 2x plus 50? That's how you set that problem up. You add the two on the inside and you set it equal to the exterior one. And I don't care which order you put it in, it doesn't matter. So as long as you add the two, set it equal to the exterior. Make sense of it? Yeah. And now solving this, what do we have to do? Somebody walk me through it. How do we solve that? Add the x's. Okay, so I'm going to add the x's on that one side. So we have what, 6 x's on that other side. What else? Okay, we can move the x over to the other side. Yeah, we'll do that here in a minute. I agree with that. What else can we do?
Add the 10 and the 50.
Okay, good. That's probably what I would have done first. So add the 10 and the 50 on that one side. This 8x plus 2 just stays where it's at. And now I'm going to go with what Carly said. Let's move the x over to the other side. Let's get the x's to one side of the equation. So I'm going to drag that 6x over. And what else should I drag across? Probably the 2. Now when you drag these across, yeah, they become opposite. So this 6x will become negative. So we're going to subtract the 6x. And then when I drag the 2, it'll also become negative. Because when they go across the equal sign, you have to do the opposite. Technically what you're doing is you're subtracting to both sides. That's technically what you're doing. But I just think that's the easiest way to do it. Drag it, subtract it. And what we're going to get, I ran out of space here. We should get a 2x. Let me just get rid of this. We don't need all that. We have a 2x on the left side. And on the right side, we have, what, a 58? Now what?
Divide 2 from 58.
Yeah, divide the 2, right? 58 divided by 2, we got 29. So we divide this 58 by 2, you're going to get a 59 degrees. So there's your x. That is not my final answer, though. Right? We found x. Perfect, right? What do we have to do with it?
Did you say 29?
29. I don't know what I was doing there. 59, just making up numbers, you know. 29. There we go. All right, 29. Thank you. What do we have to do with it, though? Please.
Plug it in.
Yeah, you have to go plug it back in, right? You did all the dirty work, right? We figured out all the stuff we had to do, and that took, probably the hardest step was just setting it up. But don't forget, like, what was the question even asking for? Was it asking for x or was it asking for an angle? Well, this question was asking for MNO. That is this angle, if you remember back to it. It was this angle right here. That was the one we were trying to find. We're trying to find MNO, which is that blue angle right there in that corner. So I'm going to take my 29 and go plug it back in. And plug it into that spot right there. It's not drawn to scale. I already warned you of that yesterday. Like, none of these pictures are drawn to scale. The numbers don't make sense for some of the pictures. So just trust your numbers you're getting. Don't trust the picture. So we're going to get that. We plug that 29 back into the MNO. But it's plugging into the X location. So 2 times the 29, that's what, 58 again? And we add the 50. So 58 plus 50 was at 108. And that's your final angle. This is the whole point of what we're doing there. And that's what we're submitting on, the Google form. I would say keep your work off to the side in case you make a mistake. Let's say I grade it and got, let's say it's out of 20 points, you got like 15. You're like, what did I do wrong? I can tell you can go back and like, you messed up number 2 and 4. Okay, so I go back and check them out. And if you have your work, you can just make a quick fix and then submit the work to me. Just email me the work. A lot of my Cal kids do that. They just keep the work, and so when they need to resubmit, they can do it really quickly. All right, questions with that one? Okay, so that one's pretty straightforward. Let's go to the next properties. This is going to be our next big one that we're going to use probably today. It'll be used, I think, twice at least in the homework out of the 6 problems you have. If you have a right triangle, this is the problem I did yesterday for you guys. If you have a right triangle, the 2 angles that are left over, the 2 acute angles, have to be complementary. They have to add up to make 90 degrees. So no matter what, they have to add to make 90. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to use this on my next kind of drawing here just so you can see this. Okay, all right, so here's what we have. All right. Ooh. Let's get rid of all that. Let's go black. All right. So let's say here's what we have. Angle 1 is angle 2. And let's say this is 50 degrees. And this is 60 and 80. All right. Okay. And, oh, I forgot to mark. I probably should mark that. Okay. There we go. And angle number 3, there we go. Okay, so this is a pretty traditional photo you're going to see today where they just give you random pictures. They have multiple triangles kind of connected together, and they want you to find, 1, 2, and 3. So when you're in your Google form, say angle 1 is this, angle 2 is this, angle 3 is this. And they gave me a couple of bubbles on this. So on this particular picture, those bubbles mean the angles are the same exact number. So we have certain digits we can find there. Okay, so let's walk through this. Okay, what do we have? What do we do? What do we have? What are we getting here? So Talk me through it. How do we find this? How do we find any of these angles?
180 minus 50.
Say it again?
180 minus 50.
Okay, so you're working with that middle triangle, right? Okay, so so if you didn't hear Carly there, she's saying for this middle triangle here, you're taking 180 minus 50, okay, and we're going to get 130.
Divide that by 2.
Okay, so now, why do you divide by 2? I agree with that. Why are you going to divide by 2?
Because 50 plus 130 equals 180.
Okay.
And 2 equals.
Yeah, it's the main reason why you're dividing by 2 is that there's 2 angles, and the 2 angles are? 2 angles are? The same. They're equal. So if you divide whatever's left by 2, that'll be the 2 purple angles. So 130 divided by 2. What is that, 65? So we're getting the purple angles we're getting up there are both 65 degrees. 65 and 65. I don't know why that just did that. There we go. 65 degrees. And so this is 65 and this is 65. All right. So good start, right? We found what was left in that middle triangle. We divided by 2 because both angles left over were the same number. Good. Now what? Somebody else now. Thank you for the 2 volunteers. Somebody else now. Is there any other angles we can find? Okay. Preferably somebody else. I got my 2 volunteers. Somebody new now. Sorry. Is there another angle we can find up here? That might be easy. Please.
That angle at 90.
Okay, so this one angle down here is 90. You agree with that? So that means the remaining 2 angles have to add up to be 90 degrees as well. So once we find these 2, or at least one of them, we'll be able to find the other. The 2 remaining ones have to add up to be 90. That's good. I agree with that. That angle in the corner is 90. That's what that little box means. Good. So far, I can't find 1 and 2. Can I find another angle up there? Like, what's 3? How do we find 3? Please.
Yeah, 60 and 80 and then subtract those from 180.
Yeah, because the triangle has to have to be 180, right? So you add those 2 together, the 60 and 80 over here, and this third triangle, I'm over here. You add those 2 angles together, subtract from 180. So, what is that? 180 minus 60 and 80 is that 40 degrees left over? Yeah, 40 degrees left over. So angle 3 is 40. So that adds up to be 180. Okay, good. Now what? Now what? Right now we're stuck, right? We don't have angles 1 and 2. We can find one of them now without making up anything. What angle should we find first? Because we got to find 1 and 2. Yeah, we better find 2. Have any ideas on how we do that?
65 plus 40
Yep.
subtracted by 180.
Yeah, exactly right. The angles that are down here, I'm going to try to put this maybe in a, I'll put this in an orange color. These 3 angles down here have to add up to be 180. They're in a straight line with each other. So you take the 180, like she was saying, and you subtract 65 and you subtract 40. And what that leaves you with angle 2, if you subtract those from 180 to 65 and 40, it'll leave you with 75 degrees. Leave you with 75. And now we go off of what Vanessa said earlier, is like angle 1 and 2, and that 90 in that corner, and now we can find angle 1. So you take, those 2 angles, the 75 and the angle 1 should add up to be 90. So this has to be a 15 degree angle, because it has to add with the 75 to make 90. So, okay, questions on what we're doing here, like what your homework's going to look like. Obviously, you're going to have much better pictures than this. I kind of drew this on the spot, but... Okay, all right. I'm going to turn you loose. Your homework went live about 5-6 minutes ago. You can go in your Google form. There is 6 problems. You are trying to find the missing angles, so like angle 1, 2, and 3. On some of the problems, find the indicated angle. So, find angle, ABC or DEF or whatever it tells you. So you don't have to go plug it back in. But this is the type of problems that we're doing today. So I'll turn you loose right there. Not bad. All right. Let's get rid of all these markers.